Katherine Terrell. This is Duncan. We are live at the Kentucky Derby draw, which just concluded. The two Benson horses, Mo Tom and Tom's Ready, both got fairly favorable draws. They did not draw the dreaded 1 or 2 position, and I think we could feel a sigh of relief from the entire Benson clan, who were all in attendance: Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton. So, Jeff, what do you think about the draw, and how do you think the race is going to set up?
Well, I thought both, as long as they didn't get on the far outside or the far inside, I think they were going to be happy with anything in between, and that's what they got. I think it was a long wait for them. I mean, Mo Tom was the actual last of the 20 horses that got their post-position draw, so they had excruciating wait.
Especially when that 2 position didn't come up for a long time. I think Tom Amos, Mo Tom's trainer, was about to lose it when he was waiting. But
well, look,
like said,
the thing I thought was interesting, we talked about it earlier, is Danzig Candy is one of the speed in this race, drew the 20 hole from the far outside. He's going to have to go and send for the lead. He's going to have to use a lot of force, as they say, to get to the lead. And then Trojan Nation, a maiden, is also in the 1 hole. He's another bit of a speed horse as well. So you got 2 speed horses on a very extreme outside and inside post.
Well, the thing is, there's not much speed in the race to begin with. You got Danzig Candy, just like you said, you got Trojan Nation, and Gunrunner could be the speed. He's kind of a stalker type, but he could go to the lead. But that's very favorable for Mo Tom, because Danzig Candy essentially is going to have to gun it out of the gate, get in front of all the horses, and set a fast pace. And so he's probably going to use himself up. Now, they want a fast pace for Mo Tom because he's a deep closer who basically picks off all the other horses once they tire out. So that sets up great for him. I just don't know about that inside post. I don't think they wanted the 4. He's a horse that tends to get into traffic trouble. I think it would have been better for him had he gotten maybe the 14. But on the positive side, he's not in the auxiliary gate.
Right, and I'll tell you, the other thing I thought was interesting, we talked about it right before we went on the air here, is Exaggerator, of course, trained and ridden by the DeSormo brothers, Keith and Kent, and apparently Kent DeSormo not happy about the 11 hole for maybe an unusual reason. The fact that that's going to be the first horse that loads into the gate. There's a long 20-horse loading process, so Kent DeSormo, the rider of Exaggerator, is going to be on Exaggerator's back for an extended period of time sitting in this gate. I'm sure he's going to be antsy, and he was not happy about that, and it's something I didn't really think about.
Well, the thing that happens here with such a big race is they tend to overanalyze everything. You don't want the 1 or the 2 because you run out of racing room and essentially get crushed behind horses, so that's obvious. You don't want the 20 because then you have to use up your horse to get ahead. And also there's certain positions that you don't want for the reason Ken said. You don't want to be sitting on a horse for a long time before you basically get to break from the gate. It's a very big crowd, it's loud, these horses don't handle it well sometimes, and there's some horses that just essentially melt down whenever they have to sit there for a long time. They're like teenagers. They don't all handle the crowds well, and there's going to be one horse that has a meltdown. We don't know who it is, but I'm sure it happens every year. So it's interesting that he's upset about that. Basically, for those who are watching and don't know, I think you mentioned there's an auxiliary gate that's separate from the main gate, so that's what he's talking about. He's not in the auxiliary gate, but he's one of the last to load in the main gate.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the interesting things for me here, I've been to the Derby a number of times. This is my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. This event itself, the draw event, has become a big deal. It's nationally televised, and it was fun to see the Benson clan here and Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis kind of out of their element a little bit. I mean, they're not used to this event at all, and they seem to be having a blast. I mean, they were having a really good time. Tom Benson spoke with the media afterwards. You know, he's been a little bit hard to track down over the last year or so, and he was effusive talking with us afterwards. So I think this whole group is having a really good time, and something Dennis Lauscha, the president of the organization, said to me that I thought was interesting. Katherine and I were talking about, they're actually having to divide up among their group who's going to be on the Mo Tom team, who's going to be on the Tom's Ready team, because they got 2 horses here and they don't want to show any favoritism to any of the connections.
Well, Tom Benson said it's like the Super Bowl. So for them, this is their Super Bowl. And don't get worried, Saints fans. Doesn't mean that he doesn't care about the Saints, but he's very excited. His wife Gail's excited. And Sean Payton has never been to the Derby, and I don't know that I've ever seen Sean Payton so excited about anything in all the years that I've known him.
Right.
He's got these special shoes he's going to wear. I mean, he's just like, he's been gushing about it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the things Tom Amoss, the trainer of Motom, talked about, I think he was a little perturbed, and Tom Amoss is a very competitive person. He's a lot like Sean Payton. He was perturbed that they gave him 20-1 morning line odds.
Yeah, he was.
And he is convinced that Motom is going to be much lower than that by the time they break from the gate, because he's going to probably end up being one of the 6 or 7 top betting choices, I think, in the field.
There's a few other horses we haven't talked about. Obviously, there's the 2 Steve Asmussen horses, Gunrunner and Creator. Both are very good horses in their own right. Gunrunner won the Louisiana Derby, and Creator is coming off a win in the Arkansas Derby. Now, Creator drew the 3 post, which is kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work because, like I said, he's a deep closer, which means he comes from the back of the pack, just like Motom. He could run into traffic trouble, and he's right next to Motom, which I'm not sure exactly how that's going to set up. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, their styles really kind of complement each other. Gunrunner's a little more of a speed stalker type. I'm sure he's going to get a good position from the number 5 on. I think Creator's just going to dive over the rail, and he's one of the slowest horses out of the gate in the entire
kind of
field.
Like a plotter.
Yeah, he's going to come running late and hopefully pick up the pieces. But I do think that Steve Asmussen is uniquely positioned here with these 2 horses. I think I'll be surprised if one of his 2 does not hit the board on Saturday.
The thing about Gunrunner is that he's very underrated for some reason, and really
Right.
the horse has just done everything that's been asked of him. He won the Risen Star, he won the Louisiana Derby. You could say, well, that was Motom's race to lose, and maybe it was, but I think that he's kind of flying under the radar, and I would say that about Exaggerator, but Exaggerator's the second choice, so I don't think he's flying under the radar at all.
That surprised me, that Exaggerator
Me too, a little bit.
Yeah, was that low of odds on the morning line. And actually, Tom Amoss, that was the other comment he made a little while ago. He said this was not Mike Battaglia's best day, which was a direct shot at the morning line odds maker here. He didn't feel like any of his morning line odds were very good on the rest of the field. But I still don't know who my pick is going to be. I don't know if you know who your pick is going to be, but I think this is one of the more wide open derbies we've had in a long time. There's certainly no American Pharaoh in the field.
No, there's not. And the only thing I can tell you right now, before I've kind of looked at the race, is who to throw out instead of who to bet. First of all, you throw out the 1 and the 2 horses if you're betting. They never win from that post. The field is just too big.
Right.
And if they do, I will be happy to say that I'm wrong, but it's not a good bet to make. Throw out Lonnie. I think that was another kind of dig. Lonnie is 30-1. He might as well be 100-1. He's just a really odd horse, and he might not even run. I mean, he doesn't run if he doesn't feel like it, is what I'm trying to say. So he might be plodding out of the gate. I'm trying to think of other ones. I'm not quite sure. I mean, all the other ones are kind of.
I thought that Brodys Cause is a horse that a lot of people here like. He won the Bluegrass Stakes. He's trained by Dale Romans, a Churchill-based trainer, and he's got a lot of backers here. And he's 12-1 on the morning line, but he drew the number 19 hole. That's way out there, and I think he's a little bit compromised. He's probably going to come from off the pace now, as opposed to maybe being in mid-pack where I think he wanted to be. So I actually think that he came out maybe of all the contenders in this race with maybe the worst draw of the horses that I think might factor into who could be in the winner's circle.
See, that's funny because I mean, he's right next to him, but I would have said Dancing Candy is the worst draw by far.
I'm in the people I think could win.
Oh,
I don't think Dancing
win. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think of horses that I consider to be contenders, he's the one I think that's most compromised. But look, it was a really fun event here. I think there's a lot of Louisiana connections here. We had trouble after the draw between Katherine and I just getting around to interview everybody with some kind of Louisiana background. I got a chance to spend some time with the DeSormo brothers, their parents, Brenda and Harris DeSormo, in from Maurice, the hamlet of Maurice, Louisiana, and they've been here a number of times and they were really excited. So I think there's going to be a lot of rooting interest if you are a Louisiana sports fan and a Saints fan. You got a lot of people, I think, to be watching once the starting gate breaks on Saturday.
I agree totally. I think Exaggerator and the DeSormos are one of the best stories of the whole race. Keith DeSormo has been training for over 20 years, local guy, never made it big until about 3 years ago, and now he's got a great horse in the Derby, and his brother's riding. It's a great comeback story for his brother, who's had some troubles of his own for the last few years. So if you're looking for Louisiana connections to root for, I would look at Motom, Tom's Ready, Gunrunner. Creator's not a Louisiana horse, but Steve Asmussen trains them, and of course Exaggerator, and then Destin has some Louisiana ties as well.
Yeah, Destin is owned by Steve Davison. He's the majority owner of Twin Creeks Stable, and he's a Ruston native, big Louisiana tech booster. He's been in the horse game for a while now, and almost everybody in their stable has some form of North Louisiana ties. So that's what's interesting about this is the state of Louisiana has a North Louisiana precinct. They'll probably be rooting for Destin because of the Ruston connection. You've got Cajun country with the DeSormos.
Right.
Then you've got New Orleans with the Bensons. So like everybody in the state of Louisiana is going to have somebody to root for.
We also, on the undercard, you have Al Stahl running for Evermo, who ran in the Louisiana Derby, I believe. So it should be a great day for racing, great day for Louisiana racing, and I would highly encourage all of y'all to, even if you only have 2 minutes to watch the Derby on Saturday, I think it's going to be a great day, and we'll be back with more coverage. As Jeff said, he's got a story on the DeSormo brothers coming soon, so check NOLA.com for all your horse racing coverage this week.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody.